But I'm going to go first to Hanna, who hopefully we're going to see on our screens now shortly. And Hanna Vseviov, we're so delighted that she can join us. She's been a recent visitor to Dublin and to the department. And Hanna is the Deputy Secretary, Ministry for Social Affairs in Estonia. And she's going to provide us with an international perspective on how they think about prevention and early intervention in Estonia. And Hanna has quite the background, and I'll give you a little bit of a flavour. She's worked at the Ministry of Social Affairs and Communications since 2010. She acquired a master's degree in social sciences in 2012 and is currently studying for a doctorate in demography. She previously served as a member of the Bureau of the Steering Committee on the Rights of the Child on the Council of Europe until 2021. Estonia is dialing in now. Hanna, thank you so much for joining us. I know you have snow there today. We've already compared to the rain here, so I think we're slightly jealous of your snow. But Hanna, in Estonia, you have the Child Guarantee National Action Plan, which is an incredibly comprehensive, and I'm going to move to sit so I can see you clearly on my screen here, incredibly comprehensive and thoughtful plan when it comes from children at risk right up to those who maybe have mental health problems, to minorities, children with disabilities. Can you set the scene for us a little bit here in Ireland of children in Estonia, what it looks like, what it feels like today, and the impact you're having in their lives?
Thank you. So good morning, everybody. Yes, it is a snowy but a really cold day in Estonia. And as already mentioned by the minister, we had excellent 3 days in Dublin. So thank you for all who welcomed us. But yes, as Ireland, Estonia is a small country. We have 1.3 million people living in Estonia, and 20% of the population is children. So about 260,000 children are living in Estonia. And when it comes to the child guarantee, I can say that Estonia has quite good universal measures for children and families. So quite flexible and generous parental benefit and leave system, accessible childcare services, but we also face challenges when it comes to specific target groups. So as already mentioned, for example, children and youth with mental health problems, this is the target group that actually during the negotiations in the European Commission, we offered as an added target group because we could see and hear from other countries all over Europe that COVID especially, but now also war and difficulties with economic situation have increased the mental health problems among children and families. So this is one of the aims that we have taken also in our action plan of the Child Guarantee. But we were also quite lucky when the Child Guarantee came out, or this initiative came out. We were at the same time preparing our own governmental strategy, so we could really embed the aims of the Child Guarantee into our own governmental strategy. And so we can design or develop all our policies so that we take the aims of the Child Guarantee into consideration.
Hanna, given all of those challenges, and those will resonate here in Ireland, it's very, very similar. What about prioritisation and ensuring that all of those challenges and the understanding you have is embedded, is prioritised in how you approach policy and execution? Has that been difficult, or would you say Estonia has been able to prioritise those challenges that you've talked about?
It has been different. I can say that when it comes to family policy, then it is very high in the political agenda in Estonia. And I think it has to do with our decreasing population. And so politicians are very eager to find solutions that support families. But then again, when we talk about the specific target groups, for example, children with disabilities, parents who have problems with drug abuse, etc., then here we face quite a lot of challenges. And actually, we used to have 3 government councils that dealt with the prevention of legal violations, prevention of drug use, and prevention of prevention in child protection. And these are the highest level bodies that we have in our country. So these councils consist of different ministers, state officials, and stakeholders. And even though these were cooperation bodies, they still repeated the fragmented approach between institutions and didn't have the needed outcome on policy. So this is one of the challenges when we talk about prevention, that sometimes the solution of a problem lies in another minister or ministry. So one of the things that we did this year, we put the 3 councils together and formed a new so-called Prevention Council. And the council is headed in rotating order by the Minister of Justice, Education, Social Affairs, Culture, and Interior. And the goal of the new council is to establish common foundations for the development of cross-disciplinary prevention, together with an action plan to manage cooperation between different fields and to set strategic goals. So we hope that this council, with very high level people working together, makes a change in these policy areas as well.
It's really interesting, the 3 councils approach. I wonder to what degree, coming out of COVID and nearly 3 years of having to be very reactive, imagine like Ireland here, where everybody had to go into 7th gear, what are the learnings there? Is it difficult to balance the need for the early prevention work with the early intervention work, balancing the need for innovation and online tools, and yet still creating a place for in-person initiatives? I wonder what are some of the core learnings coming out of the last 3 years of just survival will your 3 councils, will your ministry be bringing into the future with you?
Yes, actually, I really liked the example that you gave about sowing and harvesting. And so this is something that we have thought a lot about as well. Because we recently had a seminar where top leaders from the public and private sector came together to discuss what have we learned from the recent crisis and how to go on. And one of the most repeated ideas was that crises are here to stay and that we need to develop our organization so that responding and planning teams, or you can call it tactical and strategical teams, are separated, because otherwise, as you mentioned, all these very urgent things, they bury the strategic and prevention parts, let's say it so, under themselves. But what we also noticed during COVID time was that totally new target groups that needed support emerged. For example, lockdown of schools during COVID turned out difficult for children who were actually earlier or previously doing very well at school. And we see a similar case with the energy crisis and inflation. Because if it affects middle class, the people that are not used to needing or asking support from social welfare. So one of the challenges is how to find and support the new target groups. And of course, as you mentioned, the digital tools, I can say as Estonia has been quite developed when it comes to, for example, using digital tools in learning and in schools. So this was something where we could see that the effort that we have put into that is actually, you can see the outcome during these times when there are crises.
am really taken by the decision to separate out your tactical teams from your strategic teams. I think I'm going to be taking that one back to the office today. Can I ask also, and Hanna, I know you're yeah, there we go. I was going to ask you about this concept of the seamless state. Can you explain to us what that is? And within that seamless state, I've seen you talk, in your capacity in the Ministry of Social Affairs about this idea of bringing state support closer to the people. And what does that look like in your concept of the seamless state?
Yes, of course, I'm happy to share it with you. So actually, already a couple of years ago, our government decided that we need to move further with the seamless governance idea. And the plan is to move towards invisible event services where customers are served through events in their lives. So we mapped 14 different events. For example, birth of a child, becoming unemployed, being in an accident, etc. And the technology is capable of linking dozens of services by different institutions, providing a comprehensive solution to the citizen through a single event in only one contact. And in addition, the state does not have to wait for the customer to ask for grants, assistance, or advice. The state can itself proactively offer special opportunities to citizens, as all information is available and citizens have agreed to the use of this information for those purposes. And I can give you an example. So in Estonia, when a child is born, so the health sector or hospitals receive this information, and this information that a child is born is automatically sent to these other registers or digital platforms, so that the Social Insurance Board, a state agency that is responsible for family leaves and benefits, already knows that the child has been born, and they proactively now I lost the right English word, they proactively offer leaves and benefits for the family. So there is no need to apply for those benefits. And we are now piloting a similar solution when it comes to, for example, children with disabilities. So when, of course, we have to keep in mind the data protection as well. But if the parent of the child already in the hospital or in this health digital platform gives permission that the state can use the data, then when a child, for example, has an accident and receives a disability, then this information is automatically shared with the local municipality that in Estonia is responsible for all the child protection and social services. So the parent or the family, they during these difficult times, they do not have to know by themselves where to turn to, what agency is responsible for what services. They don't have to apply for these services. All this data is shared automatically and proactively given to the family. So this is the short overview of how it works.
This is what we can aspire to. That sounds very efficient and very smooth. Hanna, I know you can't stay for all of our event today, so I want to end with one final question. One of the themes that comes up at this conference every year is how do we better collaborate and not compete? How do we do things to make sure we don't find ourselves in silos and maybe sometimes duplicating the effort or maybe making the mistakes that somebody made 5 years ago, and had we known, we would have known to avoid this. And I just wonder, is there any learnings from Estonia when it comes to that question of how do we collaborate, how do we partner, maybe across our public service, but sometimes also with external organisations and agencies who might have a similar sense of purpose and vision for how they want to influence the lives of children and young people today?
Actually, we ask this question every year.
Okay.
How can I collaborate better? I can give you just a very quick example. The Barnahus model, I know that you are looking into it as well in Ireland. In Estonia, we do have the whole state covered with Barnahus model houses. And when we first started with it in 2016, the only thing that we had was will. We had, I think, 30,000 euros, which is almost nothing. But we brought together heads or management of all those agencies that have part in the Barnahus model. And we made an agreement just on a white paper. But I think the key thing was that we didn't just include the specialists, but it was really on the most highest level, the heads of the agencies, our head prosecutor, etc., came together, and we all decided that yes, we will do it. And we did it. We initiated the Barnahus model in Estonia with almost no extra money, with no legal changes, with just the will and good cooperation between different agencies. And I have to mention that this year we did some legal amendments as well, but it was only because of the data protection requirements. It has always worked without any additional official steps.
Very good. No budget, and but just getting great brain power in the room. Hanna, I'm reminded of that Margaret Mead line, never doubt the ability of a small group of people to change the world. And that's so true. If you can get people who are purpose-driven and know the why, and you get them in the room, the hows will follow. Thank you so much for that. That was Hanna Vseviov, Deputy Secretary, Ministry for Social Affairs in Estonia. Thank you so much for joining us, Hanna.
Thank you.